Temu is great for 3D printed miniatures and terrain pieces, and I've done 2 videos in the past delving into whether that is actually the case, and turns out, yeah, Temu is actually pretty good for 3D printed miniatures and terrain pieces that you can buy for the Warhammer hobby or any tabletop hobby. But what about tools and materials for the Warhammer hobby? Can you actually go onto Temu and buy decent tools and materials for the Warhammer hobby or any other miniature hobby that you may be into as well? So I once again took it upon myself to go onto Temu to see if I could find some stuff that I could use for the Warhammer hobby. I bought some things like tools, some bits and bobs that I can use on my bases and for other dioramas when I'm actually creating weird and wonderful concepts for set pieces and just in general. And I'm fairly certain I've actually found some bits and bobs that I can use on a gaming table that I'm one day going to build for me and my friends when we actually play Warhammer together. And I've even thrown some items in later that don't necessarily relate strictly to Warhammer, but as a nerd, as I'm pretty sure you can read by my channel name, I'm a big fan of things like Lord of the Rings. That's all I'm saying for now. Stay tuned until later on in the video where I show you what I've bought from Temu and the quality of some of it. Right, so kicking it off with the tools that I bought from Temu, I've got these things. They are hollow, 3D printed rollers, I think we can call these. Now, this one in particular that I'm holding in my hand right here is a 6 pattern surface texture rolling, and it cuts out. It's a tool, basically. It said tool. And this one in particular was £4.5p. Now, I looked at this and I thought, what could I actually use this for? Because yes, you can create stone textures, you can create cobblestone textures, but you'd need to actually either use foam or, you know, something to actually like scrape into and use bricks and other bits and bobs. But what if you could get some clay? Modeling clay, plasticine, putty, you name it. Put it onto a flat surface, roll it out a little bit, texture it to how you want, and then use this to roll out the surface and then paint over it. You could be creating cobblestone textures in half the time by using just this thing here and just putting down a bit of clay. You could even use just like the top end of it if you're putting it on the base of a miniature and just putting a bit of clay around and just rolling it along the side. You know, the possibilities around this with this thing. Yes, £4.5p for it's not really that small. It's about the same size as my hand, as you can see there. You could argue it is a bit expensive. Maybe if it was more along like £2, you could probably warrant buying this. It's £4 for something I'm going to use a lot. I assume I'll probably be using a lot, but for what this is, I'm pretty happy with this. And the fact that it's 3D printed, it's lightweight, easy to store somewhere. It's a tool that I'm probably going to use quite often. So, 1 being not a scam, 10 being a total scam, I'm going to put this in a 2. I also bought a second one, as I showed you earlier, and this one is a bit more of like a brick texture, so you could use it for walls and other things like that. So, again, a pretty cool item. Same size, same length, and this one was £2.52. So, already cheaper than the one I showed you previous. And I have to admit, this is a bit more of an appropriate pricing for what it is. So, a £2.52 for something you're going to roll over clay, roll over modeling putty, or whatever you're going to use on your bases, or whatever you want to use. Creating textures on the floor, maybe it's a wall, as I said. You can't really go wrong for £2.52 for this that you can use over and over again. Now, I'm obviously going to show you at some point, whether it be now or previously, what this looks like. I might even show you now. I think for £2.52, same seller, and the fact that you can have a possible of 6 designs and you can get different effects for rolling out on clay, putty, as I said, just a load of different things, and you can keep using this over and over again. This might even work on things like foam, XPS foam, things like that, to actually create a nice little texture. You may have to roll really hard with this when you're putting it across certain harder substances other than, you know, clay or plasticine or whatever you want to use. Do you know what? For both of these, I'm actually going to stick these down at a 1. I really cannot see this being a true total scam. I thought they were a bit smaller, not gonna lie. I think for what you're paying for and what you're getting, there's not really any sort of way to be scammed out of anything with this. So for that, both of these are gonna sit at a 1 out of 10. Okay, so next up for £3.57, we had a pack of 4 dry brushes. Now, I won't lie, for the past 18 to 19 years of me actually doing Warhammer, I never really saw the point in dry brushing. I always thought, just slap on a bit of acrylic, call it quits. And then one day I thought I'd actually go out and buy myself some dry brushes. And I thought, you know what? I want to see what the fuss is all about. I want to see what these guys are talking about when they say dry brushing is the best thing since sliced bread. They haven't been saying that, but I'd imagine that's what most people are thinking when they think about dry brushing, because it's really good and it Does some really cool effects. I'm now using it quite often, probably more than I'd like to admit, but that's not the point. Anyway, I'm babbling on again. Sorry. £3.57 for a pack of 4 dry brushes. Now, somewhere at the top of this video, I'm now going to link a video in which I've actually used some of these dry brushes in a previous paint job I did, which you can go and click over there if you want to. I won't take it personally if you go and head over there now. It's fine. You can go ahead and go. And for the people that have stayed, I think these are great. Personally, £3.57 for a set of 4 dry brushes. I used 2 of them and they were bloody incredible, honestly. You could spend a fair amount. You could spend a fair amount on dry brushes. Now, yes, you can buy makeup brushes that do pretty much the exact same thing, if not a better job than some really expensive dry brushes out there. But at the end of the day, if your dry brush looks something a little like this, it's got soft enough bristles and you're able to effectively dry brush with it, you don't need to spend a lot of money on it, really. So this works out at less than £1 a brush when you think of it like that. £1 a brush for some, and I'm not going to lie to you, the quality of these, it's bloody incredible. I won't lie to you. These are really good. I haven't really got much else to say on these, other than that I have tried these, I have tested them, and they stand the test. These, again, once again, are a 1 out of 10 scam. Tried and true. Get yourself some. I don't often tell people to buy stuff from Temu because a lot of the time, most of the time, they are scamming you. But that's what these videos exist for. Save yourself some money. Get yourself some dry brushes from Temu. This may be the only one that I actually genuinely am going to tell you to go and get. Because bloody incredible. Okay, so next up on the list, for a whopping £2.98... we have some stencils. I thought about it the other day, and I was thinking, I don't own an airbrush, so what's really the point in me getting some stencils? And I thought, why don't I try dry brushing over some stencils and seeing if I can get a similar, if not better result with a dry brush over some stencils than what I could with an airbrush. And I gotta say, the quality of what came in terms of the stencils, you don't really need crazy good quality when it comes to stencils, because at the end of the day, you could probably just use a bit of cardboard and get a stamp and just cut out some shapes and things that you want to put onto your model and spray over. That's a given, right? For £2.98, you get 4 templates of different things that you can use. Most of these I could absolutely see being used on shoulder pads for Space Marines, on tanks, orcs, you know, with the checkered, you see where I'm going with this? So obviously I went onto Temu trying to find some stencils, and this was the first thing that I saw. I clicked on it, I saw it for £2.98, I looked at what it was, I looked at the other competitors or other ads/adverts on Temu to see what the other stencils look like, and these, honestly, for the price, considering some of them were more expensive and didn't look as good, and I even think some of them actually had less amounts of, what are we going to call this, pages? A stencil page? Sure, why not? It's my video, I'll do what I want. Some of them actually had less stencil pages in them, and they were more expensive. And the different designs that you get on these, I mean, come on. For under £3? Bargain. Do you know what I'm going to say again? Go, if you want to get some stencils for your Warhammer hobby, go and get this. Go and get this. Go on Temu, type in stencils for Warhammer painting, stencils for whatever. Try and find this exact kit that I will leave, obviously. You would have seen, I'll pop it, do you know what? I'll pop it up on the screen for you again. Go and try and find this. I don't know which side I'm going to put on. Hey, Charlie, this side, yeah? Go and click on, all right, focus. Go and try and find this. You can't say anyone I sent you. Do you know what? Just go find it. You won't be disappointed. 1 out of 10 scam. Okay, so the next thing, I'm not too sure if you can really call it a tool as such, but these things are still widely used quite far across the Warhammer hobby as a whole, I guess you could say. They're death counters. Now, I know I showed some 3D printed ones in the video beforehand, but I can't be quite too sure exactly whether these are 3D printed or what they are. But the coolest thing about these is they're magnetized and they can come apart, so you can interchange different dials, I guess, if you wanted to. Not that you really want to, but they come in different colors, so you could put an orange one on top of your grey and have different colors. Look, what I'm trying to get at is that, yes, these were £13.45, right? But you get 8 in a pack, and a metal carrying case, right? 8 of these. Now, yes, you may not want to use these for all of your 2 HP models on the table, but you can use these for all of your vehicles. You can use these for your leaders. You can use these for your characters. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? These are tiny, right? These don't really take up much space on the gaming board, which is perfect because, let's be honest, you don't want to be filling up the entirety of the gaming board with these bloody things just sitting behind every single model. They kind of look ugly, but I quite like the design of these. They're sleek. They're on the smaller side. They're actually pretty good quality, I'm not going to lie. And, you know, for what they are, I bought them because they look cool, all right? I'm holding my hands up. They look cool. It was a kind of like an impulsive buy. I just clicked on it, saw it, and I was like, that's pretty fucking cool. I'm going to buy it to see what they're all about. I don't necessarily have many death counters, and I wanted some, so I bought myself some death counters. And obviously, I didn't need to read out what the title was because these are fairly obvious as to what they are. And they've got a cool little skull on the back. I think that's a nice little touch. Again, £13.45 for magnetic, can I just add, magnetic death counters. I think these are great, personally. Again, scam. Maybe they're a bit on the more expensive side, so I want to say maybe a 2 out of 10 scam. We're off on a great run this video. I'm genuinely so happy with what I bought so far. Temu, I know there's a bit of stigma behind you being a scam website, but honestly, so far, in this video alone, you're kind of winning me over. I'm not going to lie. Okay, so next up, for £6.59, I got delivered a bag of these. Now, I'm pretty sure, is 100 pieces in here. Now, don't worry, this isn't just a bag of grey dirt. There is actually bricks in here. Tiny little bricks. I'll show you. Can you see those? Can you see them? Tiny little bricks. Look at that. I'm hoping the camera's focusing, because if not, we're going to be having words later. Trust me. I realised that I said that into the camera, which is technically you guys. We move on. These aren't 3D printed. Okay? These aren't 3D printed. None of this. I don't actually think any... Oh, no. One thing. The first thing was 3D printed. But these are... I don't actually know what these are. I think they're plaster. They're very lightweight. Can't be too sure. Does it say? No. Doesn't actually say what they're made from. One thing I will say is... Alright? This is nearing £7. Okay? These do not look like what they look like in the ad. There is no differentiation in styling, in what they look like. They all look exactly the exact same. Exactly the exact same. Is that even good English? I'm losing my bloody marbles. Honest to God. They all look the exact same. So they don't look like what they look like in the ad. So already, based off of what's arrived compared to what's actually shown in the ad, we're already at a 5 out of 10 scam. However, I did order 100 tiny bricks for my Warhammer hobby. I don't know if I can give it any more of a scam than a 6. I think I'm going to stick it at 6. Price being taken into effect, what they've actually turned up as being taken into effect, I think 6 is the absolute max. They are technically 100 tiny bricks, or roughly. I'm not going to sit there and count them. I'm not that sad. But for what they are, can't really be mad. I can probably, you know, shake them up a little bit, maybe get some weathering and scratch them with a file or whatever to actually make them look a bit more, you know, oldie-timey. But for what they are, can't really be mad at it. 6 out of 10. That's all I'm going to give it. Okay, so next up, you may even already be able to see it. XPS foam. I've bought some of this stuff because I've got some big projects coming up in the future and I need a lot of this stuff. Probably going to end up buying some more. Now, it is quite thick and it is dented because it's come from China. So they don't really package these in a great way. That's probably the biggest downside to Temu. Do not buy anything like technology or anything that is technically breakable from Temu. There is a high chance that what you get in the mail is probably going to be broken because, like, something's actually punctured that. Look at that. Okay, I can't really fit my finger in there because it's, you know, XPS foam and everything, but It's lightweight foam that you can carve and mold, and you know, I'm sure that if you've been around the hobby scene or watched any other hobbying YouTubers or Warhammer YouTubers, they've probably used XPS foam at some point to create dioramas or, you know, work on gaming tables with. This stuff is actually pretty cool, and it's great to work with. For £9.34. £9.34 for this. Now, I actually went onto Amazon. Hold that thought. I'm back. I went onto Amazon to buy the exact same thing. It's pretty much the exact same size. Will admit, it came in a lot better quality. Obviously, they handle it somewhat better over at Amazon. No dents, no real scratches, not really much of any damage at all, really. But this was nearly £15, okay? £15 for the exact same thing you can get on Temu. Quality-wise, haven't tested it yet. Can't really speak too much on that. But they're basically the exact same thing. Now, obviously, the panels are different sizes, which you could argue, for different reasons and different projects that you're working on, could be a bad or good thing. You know, thick XPS foam, probably really good for dioramas. Thin XPS foam, good for most other projects, like converting things into other things. Maybe hinting at something there. Keep your eyes peeled. At the end of the day, for £9.34, just under a tenner for XPS foam, can I be mad? No. No, I cannot. I'm going to give that a 2 out of 10 scam. For what's arrived, compared to the stuff that you pay a bit more money for, and arguably could be the real deal from Amazon, yes, fair enough, but something that may be a knockoff, but is still going to do pretty much the exact same job for £5 cheaper, personally, I think it's a no-brainer. Okay, so now moving on to a bit more of a bonus thing. I'm a big horror collector. And not only am I a big horror collector, I'm also a big fan of collecting things from pop culture and films that I genuinely adore watching, such as Lord of the Rings. Sorry, I just smacked you in your ears. From a glance, you can't really tell how good the quality of this is. This is the ring that Frodo carries around his neck the entirety of all 3 films. It's got a good weight to it. Now, obviously, this is not gold. I'm not stupid. But I'm pretty sure this was around £3. The chain, good quality. The ring, good quality, good weight. To the untrained eye, this ring could genuinely be a replica. To the untrained eye, from a distance, if you were to see this hanging up, you think, oh, he's got a replica of the ring. Yes, it is £3. Therefore, it is not technically, in any way, shape, or form, an exact replica. But for £3, for something like this, it's kind of cool. Kind of cool. I just like looking at it. I like holding it. I like knowing I've got it. Isn't that the reason why most people collect stuff? So that, in terms of scam, honestly, 0 out of 10. I genuinely can't complain. Next up, we have this. Now, I gave one of these ones to my girlfriend, and she got the other one. I got to keep this one. It doubles up as a brooch, which I think is pretty cool, personally. It is not the best quality, and it's not as good quality as the one ring that I've got just down there. For £4.89 for this and the other one, you know what? I could just be really happy and ecstatic with the things that I've received and how happy I am with them, that I could be seeing this through rose-tinted glasses. I can't say that that's more than a 4 out of 10 scam, if anything. Yes, the quality ain't great, but £4.89 for something that's a necklace that doubles up as a brooch that looks like something from one of my favourite franchises of all time, I don't feel like I've been scammed at all. And it made as a nice little present. Nothing crazy, but, you know, my girlfriend likes thoughtful gifts, you know? So the fact that it doubled up as a little present as well, I'm not even going to be mad. Now we move on to things that I was genuinely angry to receive. We'll start with a smaller object. A phone case. You can kind of pick up on the theme that I've got going on with this last little bit. But it's a phone case, and it is for my iPhone. What is going on here? What is that? Putting my phone in it and then holding it around it has done nothing. It literally arrived completely bent, just like that. It is flimsy. I'm surprised none of it is actually fully broken. I mean, I genuinely don't know what I expected. £2.97 for a phone case. Very cheap. I know. Fair enough. Whatever. But they could have at least put a bit more effort into the construction and the quality of it. Like, even just the littlest bit. I know it was only £3, but for what came compared to what I saw on the ad, 8 out of 10 scam. Jesus Christ. And now, the biggest scam of this video and quite possibly my entire time shopping on Temu, this is what I received. It's a rug, but it wasn't listed as a rug. It was listed as vintage-inspired velvet doormat with arch and speak friend and enter. I'm assuming it says text on it or whatever. £5.59, and it was, in the picture you can clearly see, shown as a full-on doormat. The quality, now do you know what? I fully understand. I hear you. I shopped on Temu and got delivered something that is a scam. I get it. I understand. You can stop now. All right, £5.59 for this. It is tiny. It is tiny, and it's like, it's not even that good. Okay, it's all right. For £5.59, it's a bit novelty. I'd probably rather have paid something like £3 for this, and I wouldn't have been mad. But for nearly £6, and this is what I get when I expected to get something that looks more like a doormat. Sorry. I do feel a bit scammed by that. So, price being considered, 9.5 out of 10 scam. Not over the moon by it. Not completely pissed off. But it is what it is. So, that's literally everything I got on Temu. Let me know in the comment section down below if you've ever been scammed by Temu, or if there's anything you previously ordered, thought you were getting something that you saw on the ad, and then what you got was literally nothing like what you saw on the advert. I'd honestly love to know. Maybe feel a little bit better about the last two. Also, down in the description, there is a link to my Discord if you'd like to come and join me over there. Hopefully, by the time this video goes live, there is now a button down next to where the subscribe button is that says join. If you click that, you'll be supporting me. Feel free to. You don't have to, but it's a way to help me out in my journey to becoming a full-fledged YouTuber. If you decide to do so, I'd appreciate your support. Also, if you got this far and you got any value whatsoever from this video, why not subscribe if you're not already, like the video, and that helps me out quite a lot as well. And also, seeing as you already got this far, why not click one of these two videos? YouTube thinks you should, otherwise it wouldn't have put them there.